Hey friends, what's happening? This is Andy coming to you again from my Daily Funk Club headquarters. And today I wanted to just put together a little bit of a video for you and kind of, kill a few different birds with one stone. First of all, I want to continue to feature the Phil Jones Super Flightcase and PB300 powered extension cab rig, because this week I've been featuring that in all of my videos. And I thought, maybe I'd talk a little bit and show you a little bit about what's going on with me and talk about the creative process. I think that a lot of us players, for me, the creative part of my playing is my favorite part of my playing, the music that I write. And, I think that it's a super, super important part about all of our musicality and what kind of makes us get the most, can make us get the most rewards from the craft. Certainly being versatile and playing other people's music or in a cover band or all of the above is what the whole musical experience is about. But for me, I think the biggest rewards come from the music that I write and record and publish and put out there, and just the process of making it. It's not so much whether or not it's successful in any kind of commercial way or whatever. When it's done, it's done. The thing that I get the biggest kick out of is just making it happen, creating it, visualizing how I want to produce it and make it into a recording, and then doing it, and then the actual part of kind of publishing it and getting it out there and making it available for people to listen to if they want to, and then kind of moving on to the next thing. And that's kind of where I'm at now. My new album, my new full band album, Ghost in the Grain, is almost done. We're in the mastering process, and that's a full band album with 10 or 12 different musicians on it, and all the instruments and guitars and keyboards and drums and sax and vocals and bass and all kinds of stuff like that. But recently I started a collaboration with a fantastic musician who happens to live in the same town as me now, named PJ Olson, who's probably most famous for his work as the lead singer for the Alan Parsons Project for many years. And also he's done several of his own solo albums that are absolutely fantastic. Well, we recently made kind of a partnership and formed this little duo thing that we're doing called Charming Airmen. And we just released our first song a couple of days ago called See You in Hell. And Saturday I'm going in to record another one of the songs that I wrote. This next one we're doing is going to record is called Heaven Has a Heart. And it's a really cool scenario creatively, because I just finished investing in and putting a lot of time and effort into making a big, highly produced full band album. And now with this group that we're doing, this duo, all it is bass and vocals. It's really, really stripped down, and it's a completely different way of bringing my music to life, bringing the music that I write to life. So the two instruments I have are voice, PJ's voice, and bass guitars of some sort. And it's so fun. I'm having a great time. So today I was working up the parts for the bass line to Heaven Has a Heart, because I wrote this song, I wrote the words and I wrote the song many years ago, and actually many, many years ago it was inspired from a song that we played when I was a little kid, when I was only like 12 or 13 or 14. It was one of our first original songs. At that time it was called Why, but I've kind of taken some of those lyrics and then adapted it and adapted the music, and we're getting ready to record it on Saturday. So today I was working up the parts, so I had to take all of the different parts that I know from the song and create a bass line that kind of works functionally to sell all the different, harmony aspects and groove aspects. So the first section is kind of going like, the verse section is kind of going. That's the main part. I think what I'm going to do in there is I'm going to go. because keep in mind, there's no drums on this. There might be a tiny little bit of, you know, bells and things like that, but there's no actual pulse percussion. So the bass is going to be the primary percussion instrument in the track. So that'll be cool for the verses, and then it kind of does the bunch of sus chords, you know, those kind of sus. And it's kind of all built around having the tonic pedal point, which happens to be A. So that's kind of the verse chorus, the basic verse chorus theme. And then I need to have a bridge, so I was thinking I would do some changes like this, like going to a C sharp, we're in A. You know, it's kind of a nice departure from the main tonality of the tonic key. Throughout this whole section, there'll be multiple voices, 4 to 6 voices that are weaving a counter melody through this harmony with a different rhythm. So it's not all linear sounding. But the bass line will have a consistent pulse rhythm like I'm playing here. Okay, that's about as busy as I want to get in this section with the bass because the vocals will be doing a lot. So I just want to be really supportive and really lay down the time. And then that, I figured that's going to need to resolve, I'm going to need to get out of the bridge and back to the top again. And I chose this chord because it's a nice pivot chord. It kind of sets up a half-step approach leading right back to tom. Alright, so I'll be going. I'll probably go duh. I'll probably grab this. I'll probably grab this E flat down lower. Duh. And I'll let that sustain, and then I'll start the second verse. Chorus again, and then for the outro, I like to do new music outros. You know, so it's like A, B. C, A, B, C, D, so that there's new music in the outro. And still within the same theme, but I'm going to change the tonality a little bit and make it a little bit more on the eerie side. So I'm thinking I'm going to do this kind of a thing here. But I'll be doing it with the pulse. And then this time I'll reharmonize it. Kind of starts to set up a little bit more out of the, you know, super happy major kind of tonality and starts to introduce a little bit of sort of spooky, eerie stuff. And then at that point in the song, a secondary bass line will enter way down low. And by the way, I'm going to be playing this on my 12-string bass, so it's not going to sound anything like it does on the 4-string. It's a 12-string bass strung B to C with octave strings for every string. And at the end, I'm going to have this alternate bass line enter that's kind of doing a counterpoint. Pull up some samples of some big low-pitched church bells and go gong, 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 dong, dong. And meanwhile this is going. So that's kind of the process that I'm using, you know. I have a beginning, a middle, and an end, you know, and I have kind of like a verse set of chord changes, and then the chorus, which has a little tag on it. That's that thing that goes. Heaven has a heart, right? And I'll do that twice. 2 verses, got that bridge in the middle that's kind of into a completely different set of chord changes. Resolving with a pivot chord, called a pivot chord, brings us right back to the tonic nicely. So there you go. That's kind of how I put a little song together, and how I take a fully arranged song and strip it down to become what I need it to be for the application that we're doing right now, which happens to be Charming Airman. And the instrumentation that I want to use is just bass and voice. And if you check out our first single, which I mentioned at the beginning, See You in Hell, it's really cool, you know, and it's something different. You know, it's weird, it's unorthodox, it's, you know, some wild and kooky stuff, but man, I just love it. I love the idea of making music without boundaries, and using as much as I want to use or as little as I want to use, and trying to say a lot and make a really cool artistic and musical statement with only a couple things, bass and voice. So that's what I'll be doing this Saturday at Eagle Wind Recording, or Eagle Wind Sound, here in Winter Park, Colorado. I'm blessed that PJ and his associates came to my little town where I live and built a world-class studio with a Neve desk right down the street from my house. I couldn't be more happy. And I should mention before I go, the instrument that I'm playing is my Hammersmith M4. And this bass is really special and cool because it's an opposite bass. Typically, you would see somebody put a jazz bass neck on a P bass body because they want a skinnier neck. This is a jazz bass type body with a P bass neck on it. If you notice, look up here, it's wide. This has got a 60s shape, you know, shallow C, wide, shallow C shaped neck on it, maple fingerboard, and then it's on kind of the Hammersmith's version of a kind of a jazz shape, no pick guard, really cool control plate, and it has the Nordstrand NJ4 pickups in it and 3-band active passive preamp, Hipshot hardware, and this is just a really, really cool instrument that Hammersmith made for me according to all the specs that I wanted. I have 2 Hammersmith basses. I also have my green sparkly P5 that I adore. So this thing just turned out fantastic, and the thing I love about it is that it has a P neck on a jazz body. It's the opposite of what they what a lot of people do. So when I'm playing it in my right hand, what I'm feeling and the vibe that I'm feeling is 60s P bass. And when you're looking at it, that's not what you see. So thanks for tuning into this video and tuning into all my videos, you know, and hanging out and being part of what I'm doing here. And I encourage you to keep hanging around, and I encourage you to just go after whatever creative juices you have, and don't feel like, you know, music needs to be, I guess what I want to say is, don't feel like you have to, you know, fill up your music with a million different things. You know what I mean? Instruments or whatever, you know what I mean? Sometimes music that's stripped down and very bare and very sparse can be very, very beautiful. You know, some of my favorite albums are, you know, like Springsteen, Nebraska album, for example. It's the most sparse and lo-fi album he ever did, and it's one of my favorites, you know. And sometimes when we strip things down to the absolute bare minimum and don't try to like overproduce them and throw the whole kitchen sink at them, the song actually takes on maybe a bit more of a more powerful life, or a more effective presentation. So it's just something to consider, you know. Keep on writing, keep on recording, having fun, and you know, make the most of your craft, and just enjoy the whole process. All right, friends, talk to you soon. Peace.